Guys, this is Tarot with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit of information on Santa Muerte, also known as Santísima Muerte, which translates to Most Holy Death. So some people have come up to me asking me a little bit about Santa Muerte, and although there's so much information about her, kind of like, you know, dispersed here and there, this is just to give you a general kind of idea about Santa Muerte and offerings, altar, you know, setup, rosary praying to Santa Muerte, kind of who she is and how she developed and why she seems to be so popular, you know, gaining in popularity as of late. So hopefully you find this video helpful. I'll place all the links down below of the sources that I'm using for my information. A lot of the information also comes from myself as well, because I do consider myself a devotee of Santa Muerte. I do have a very mixed cultural background, and a part of my background does originate from Mexico, Native Americans of Mexico. And although I do believe that, you know, gods and goddesses and different energies can come to somebody even if they aren't, you know, from, let's say, the culture that that deity originated from. So let's say, you know, something from more of a Tibetan culture had come to, you know, visit me, and, you know, and I started, you know, wanting to learn more, and I wanted to start maybe working with it. I would say that it's okay, you know, to work with a deity that is within outside of your culture that you are right now, because I do believe we come back in, you know, various forms, various lives, and various places. And as long as you are respectful of that deity, as long as you try to find out as much information as possible so that you can honor that deity in the way that is best fitting for that energy, I don't see why somebody wouldn't be able to, you know, honor them or incorporate them within their practice. So here we go into some information about Santa Muerte. Before I get started, Wally actually just joined me. He is on my lap. So it's like I'm wearing Loki, but I have Wally on my lap, so it's kind of like I have both kitties. So first of all, Santa Muerte is considered a folklorish deity from Mexican American culture. There's a lot to that though, you know, because it's not really originating in America, but it's kind of crossed borders, you know, so I'll get into all of that. And there's also a reason that she is considered folklorish, and that's mainly because of what the Catholic Church has decided to categorize herself. According to allthatisinteresting.com, Gina DeMiro had done an article back in December of 2018, and she had interviewed Andrew Chestnut, the Bishop Walter F. Sullivan Chair at Catholic Studies in Virginia Commonwealth University, and he relays that references to Santa Muerte begin as early as colonial Spain. As the Spaniards sought to turn the Aztecs and Mayans over to Catholicism, they introduced them to female Grim Reaper figures as representations of death, but these native cultures already had death deities. In what is now central Mexico, the Aztecs originally had it was a god and goddess of the afterlife of the dead, known as Mictecaquehuatl. This pre-Columbian death goddess ruled over the underworld and was often depicted as partial skeleton or having a skull for a head similar to that of Santa Muerte. So when you take the two religions and you start to mesh them together, you get the Grim Reaper from what was coming over from Catholicism, and you have the goddess of death or the underworld or the afterlife coming from the Aztecs, and boom, you get something that more resembles what Santa Muerte looks like now. So a shrine to Santa Muerte was like officially kind of opened over in Mexico City, barrio of Tepito, back in 2001, and she has slowly started getting, well, slowly, quickly started gaining popularity not only in Mexico but the United States and various other places as well, such as Central America. To date, she has about 10 to 12 million followers, and she is the fastest growing religious movement in the world. So according to Father Andres Gutierrez, he explained to one Catholic news organization, if somebody is going to be doing something illegal and they want to be protected from law enforcement, they would feel awkward asking God to protect them. So they promise something to Santa Muerte in exchange for being protected from the law. The church, like I said, considers Santa Muerte a folk saint and not really a saint at all, because she cannot be canonized, because in order to be canonized by the church, one needs to make sacrifices and give of oneself during their lifetime. And since Santa Muerte is basically just a personification of death, the Catholic Church says that that is impossible. For many Catholics, according to this article, they say that Santa Muerte is more a perversion of the Catholic faith, because death was the last enemy of Christ, and Christ was able to defeat death. And so having this personification of death, which people make offerings to, and offer their time and their loyalty to, they say is what they consider more demonic or something hellish. But many people who believe in Santa Muerte are also Catholics. My own Nana, which is my grandmother, she was Catholic, but she would have depictions of these skeletal figures, which I just considered was Grim Reaper at the time. Now I know it's mostly like Santa Muerte. And so Santa Muerte isn't something that is new, like, I have just previously said, but there are times when she became a little bit more popular, which was like between the 1940s and the 1980s, and of course now in the 2000s. According to the president of Mexico, he considers her, quote, an enemy of the Mexican state, end quote. And back in 2012, he had many of her shrines bulldozed in Mexico. And the reason there is also a lot of what people are doing, throwing shade onto Santa Muerte, and people who worship her or believe in her or have incorporated her into her practice, is because there are some people who are extremists. There was some recorded things not too long ago of some people that were sacrificed to Santa Muerte. There was allegedly some of her followers had gone on some sort of murder spree down in Mexico, and one of the victims was a 10-year-old boy that basically they had sacrificed and let bleed out alive until they were dead for a shrine to Santa Muerte. And of course, these are extremists. These are people that I believe hide behind religion in order to cover the heinous acts that they do. And that's for a lot of religions. And I do feel that when, let's say, terrorist attacks occur for whatever religion it may be, people point to the religion as saying that, that religion's bad because these people did this, when that's not the religion at all, and that, may not even be the deity at all. And so I do believe there's extremists out there. There's, there's Christian extremists, there's Islamic extremists, there's even Buddhist extremists, Buddhists that act in violence. There's many religions that have extremists and terrorism in it. But those are such a small number of people, and to focus on those people and say that's the faith, I think is totally incorrect. And so, yes, there were some heinous things done, and people hiding behind that saying, oh, we did it because we were followers of this faith. I think that's more them being evil people than that is the faith. In another article by The Culture Trip, Lydia Carey back in December of 2017 had said, you may want to pray to La Santísima to cure their ails, solve their problems, and protect your children. They are warned not to make promises to Santa Muerte that they cannot keep or risk feeling her wrath. So that's something people talk about a lot, because she is such a giving saint. Most Holy Death is so giving that if you want to ask for her services, ask for something, ask for protection, ask for whatever it may be, and you give her offerings, it's seen in poor taste to then totally disregard her after that. Once you get what you want, and then you totally neglect her and disregard her. It says that many people have said that this deity does not like being scorned in that manner, and that she might have a hand in some things that, you know, might lead to some misfortune in your life. So maybe you lose some money, maybe, you know, you get sick or something like that. There are many reports of this. I haven't experienced any of this myself, but also I've never done anything to disrespect the deity or any deities that I work with. Many of the most popular offerings to Santa Muerte are apples, alcohol, tobacco, flowers, and candles. She's also known as La Flaquita, which is the skinny one, as she is sometimes called. Some people tend to confuse her with La Catarina, and La Catarina is the personification of indigenous Mexicans who wanted to adopt European styles, and the image was first drawn by Jose Guadalupe Posado. Many Mexicans and Mexican Americans are great devotees of the Virgin of Guadalupe, and because of that, you know, they say it's not such a big stretch to see you know, people wanting to follow and worship another female deity, you know, Santa Muerte, Santissima. Also the garbs that she wears, the Catholic Church gets really upset about that, because they say it's too closely related to what the Virgin Mary looks like. And again, you know, if the Catholic faith believes that, or at least people in charge of the Catholic Church believe that she is a perversion of the faith, they of course wouldn't want that for her to look like Mother Mary. Many say that Santa Muerte is always under the leadership of God, as one of his workers, a necessary part of every human's life cycle, and a saint of whose acquaintance we must eventually all make. You can also visit santamuertemagic.com. There was an article that was posted back in 2006, December of 2006, and they were talking about offerings and altars, and, you know, for if you were wanting to look into how could you honor Santa Muerte, if this is a deity that you're studying up on, you want to know more about, you feel like you want to incorporate them into your practice, and you want to know how do I, you know, honor this deity, they give you a whole list of things that you can incorporate, you know, how to maybe set up your altar and things like that. Basically, they say that the things you want to offer are things of sacrifice that we all must make, you know, of time, of money, you know, of things like that. And those are the things that you want to give because you want to show how devoted you are to this saint, so that this saint can maybe offer you protection or whatever it may be in return. So some typical offerings would be cigarettes, cigars, tequila or liquor, perfume or Florida water, incense, copal, apples, flowers, water, bread, candy, candles, soda, maybe Coca-Cola, and cash. Many people will, with cigars, cigarettes, will light them and then leave them on the altar to burn like incense. Some will take the cigarette and not burn it at all and just like leave it there on the altar. Some people will take the cigarette, take a few puffs off of it, and then blow it onto Santa Muerte's statue or over the altar, much again the way incense would work, and then they would leave the rest of the cigar or a cigarette to burn down. So as far as like when you should change stuff out on your altar, that's kind of up to you. You probably don't want to leave wilted flowers or molding food or, you know, rotting fruit or something like that on the altar. So as things start to turn, you might want to take them out and refreshen them. And if money is an issue, you know, you don't have time to keep buying these offerings for Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte also looks favorably on those that help the less fortunate, because that's what she does. She is very popular amongst those in poorer areas, those people that are on the outskirts of society, the fringe of society, we may say, ones that have been turned away maybe by the Catholic faith. Many people may say, oh, you know, and that's why a lot of people consider her kind of a deity, is because in recent years, many people know that the cartels, which people are like, those are really bad people down in Mexico, really, you know, look to Santa Muerte. But again, you know, that's just one group of people. She is, you know, for everyone. She is for the working class. She is for, you know, the poor families. She is for, you know, she doesn't differentiate. You know, basically if people are devoted to her and are willing to sacrifice for her, then she is willing to help them out. And so that's why a lot of people are conflicted with her, because they're like, oh, shouldn't she only help like good people? And you know, and I think that she's just, because she's so balanced, so open, a lot of people tend to hesitate with that. You can also pray with using the Rosary of Santa Muerte. You can also make your own, and if you're interested in that, there's a couple of different websites you may want to look at. Again, that's santamuertemagic.com or santamuerte.org. Santamuerte.org also talks about, there's a Spanish section and an English section, but they do talk about altars, altar setup, spells, devotion, prayer, rosary. There's a lot of things there, you know, if you want to go check it out. And if you're looking for books, I do have one book that I keep here that I just really like, you know, out of books that I have looked at before. And this is the Grimoire of Santa Muerte Volume 2, and this is by Sofia Di Gregorio. And I just thought this was really, really, really interesting. It's simple, but it's also has a lot of background on Santa Muerte and how best to worship her. It talks about altars and meditations, divination, and witchcraft rituals for devotees of Most Holy Death. So if you are interested, this is an awesome book to have in your library. And if you read with cards, then I would probably suggest the Santa Muerte Tarot and Santa Muerte Oracle. Both are by Fabio Listrani. So yay! Anyway, that's it, you guys. Hopefully you like this video. It's just a quick little rundown of who is Santa Muerte, what are the thoughts and feelings kind of surrounding her, what can you do maybe to, you know, start doing a little digging, learning about her a little bit more, and maybe setting up a little devotion to her. So yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, place them down below. I'd be happy to answer them. I do, like I said, incorporate Santa Muerte into my personal practice. I have a very eclectic practice. Like I said, I have a very varied background culturally, and so I just kind of have mixed everything together, you know, and Santa Muerte is one of my head patrons, and yeah, I have the way that we've worked together has kind of changed over time. Even the way I see her more now as in her skeletal self, whereas before I used to see her more as a living, you know, human, you know, somebody looking more like myself, you know, of course, you know, in spirit form. But she's become what I see as more protective, more powerful, and just more motherly instead of sisterly, and guiding me in all that I do. Yeah, I look forward to hearing your comments or reading your comments, and yeah, if you guys have any other questions, just leave it down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to click subscribe, and don't forget to click that ding 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 notification bell for more videos just like this. And if you want to catch a reading from me, head over to www.kittenswaitsandtarot.com. I also have the Wally's World Oracle open for pre-orders in my shop. The pre-orders will be fulfilled after my Kickstarter pre-orders, but definitely head over there because there's only a limited number of copies, and once they're gone, they're gone. So anyway, I will catch you spiritual homies later, all right? Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out.